The meeting to order and start with our flag salute, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight's meeting. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law. This meeting of January 22nd, 2019 was included in the meeting notice sent to the Courier Post and the Burlington County Times on January 4th, 2019, and advertised in said newspapers on January 6th and January 7th, 2019, respectively posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building on January 7th of 2019, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Here.
Mr. Schneider? Mr. Costa?
Here.
Mr. Klaus?
Here.
Mayor Mashaki?
Here. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the organization meeting of January 3rd, 2019?
So moved. I'll second that.
Okay.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. And is there a motion for the approval of the minutes of the regular committee meeting of January 3rd, 2019?
So move.
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. We have 5 reports from our tax collector for December 2018, fourth quarter 2018, year-end 2018. Code enforcement report for December 2018. The fire official report for December 2018. Construction for December 2018 and the year-end 2018. And the emergency services reports for December 2018. Is there a motion to accept these reports?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. All right, we're now at the first public participation session of tonight's meeting. Anyone want to address the committee? I think there's someone up here in the front.
It's going to be on the agenda.
Make sure to tell them.
No, they were invited to do it now.
No, wouldn't that be the second one?
That's it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Haley Briner, and I'm Hainesport School Student Government President. With me here today, I have the Executive Board, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
My name's Alyssa Scarpati, and I'm the secretary.
My name is Eric Wens, and I'm the vice president.
My name is Andrew Schaefer, and I'm also the vice president.
Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. And we are here on behalf of the other 8th graders at our school to request a grant for this year's 8th grade dinner dance.
Okay. I think that's, we've already know about that, so I think we're going to approve that grant. But it was nice of you to come tonight and make your presentation. All of you are in 8th grade?
Yes.
That's nice to meet all of you. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. You'll be hearing the resolution before the night's out. Okay. Thank you. I know we're supposed to be just agenda items, but I wanted to get the young ladies and gentlemen out of the way.
It's actually our only public comments portion. That was an error on there.
Oh, there you go. Then I'm not out of whack as usual. All right. All right. Any other public comments? This gentleman waving his hand here in the...
I apologize. There is a second public comments on the bottom.
Well, then I'm not out of the way.
Okay. Public genders. This was a public gender, right?
This is for the agenda, right?
Yes. Your agenda, I would like more about your growth mobile home park. It's under business, under B.
Oh, that's an approval of a mobile home park license, yes.
Can you get more information? Or you just approve and that's it?
It's been there. It's pretty much a standard practice.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else on agenda items? Going once, twice, 3 times, all right. Going to move on to our discussion portion of tonight's meeting. And first up, we have Remington and Vernick with regard to the Phillips Road paving project.
Yes. You can put them up on the podium if you want. Leave them up there. Or right here. On the table's fine too, Wendell, if you like.
That's why I apologize too if I went back.
Yes.
Okay.
With Sharon. That's fine. Thank you. I got it.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Wendell Bibbs. I'm a principal in the firm of Remington and Vernick Engineers. And tonight, I just want to give a general overview of the proposed road improvements for Phillips Road and some of our recommendations related to the proposed improvements. All right, first of all, first items we have here is the project location. I'm quite sure you're all familiar with the project. At the end of the day, we're going to try to make a recommendation that the entire roadway be improved from basically from the beginning of the municipality and ending at Fostertown Road. All right, the roadway information. The overall length of the proposed road is 5,500 feet, or approximately 1.04 miles. The roadway generally meanders in width from 24 feet to approximately 27 feet, and the widest section of the roadway actually occurs up in the vicinity of Applewood Court. It appears that the roadway was widened as part of the, in that area as part of the original subdivision approval. Along the roadway, there's located 3 different storm culverts. We had approximately, the approximate addresses there. The 3 storm culverts, all of which appear to be under the jurisdiction of Burlington County. As part of the culvert improvements, there's guide rails also installed to just as far as hazard protection along the culverts in the vicinity of all 3 culverts. There's approximately 28 homes along the road, and as you're aware, the municipality received $235,000 in fiscal year NJDOT trust fund funding to improve the roadway. Next, we'll just get into some of the roadway defects along the roadway. One is what we call alligator cracking. You can tell it looks like the back of an alligator crack, so that's nothing real scientific there. Next. With the defects of alligator cracking, typically you'll get potholes which form from freeze-thaw expansion of the various cracks in the roadway. That's also exhibited there. And there also are signs of rutting. You can't really tell, but that's along the travel lane of the roadway. So more or less where vehicles' tires would be, the roadway is sort of disc. That would hold a lot of storm water and cause hydroplaning, etc., as well as cause more potholes and rutting from freeze-thaw. Also, we have, because the road varies and somewhat narrow in width, you get a lot of edge of paving cracking. That's from, you know, not only, as you can see here, it's kind of worn out, probably from mail trucks, etc., but also people turning out of their driveways because the road's a little narrow, and that beats it up as well. Plus, if everybody can understand, when the road's narrow at nighttime and you got head-on cars, people tend to cheat over to the side of the road. That also wears out the edge of pavement and causes that kind of pavement defects. Preliminarily, we cored the road. Our firm has a coring vehicle. We wanted to just check the pavement thickness. On average, it's about 2.5 inches thick, but for whatever reason, the road's approximately 5 inches in the vicinity of house number 52. Next. The township's original RFP requested that the road be milled and overlaid. At the time when we originally submitted our proposal, we sort of went out on a limb and recommended against it being milled and overlaid. You'll see a video that sort of tells you why not a mill and overlay for a road that exhibits the kind of problems that Phillips Road does.
Are you going to tell us what milled is?
Oh, mill?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Most people usually know that. The milling process is the process in which a lot of times when you're on a highway and you go from a smooth pavement, when it's milled, you usually get a lot of vibration in your steering wheel. That's when the road machines maybe, in that case, if the pavement's very thick, they'll take 2 inches off and then just put a 2-inch overlay over top. The process that taking off the asphalt that's typically called milling. The machine just mills it off, it goes into a truck, and they send it away. One of the reasons we had recommended against it is that we knew if you took 2 inches off or whatever pavement thickness it is, if you put it back, you're only going to wind up with the same issues and problems that exist, that will be exhibited in the next few years. It would just basically kind of cover it up for now, but the subgrade would sort of have its way with the asphalt and it would crack again. So at the end, our office is recommending a process, what they call pulverization, stabilization, and an overlay method, which would almost, its equal would be full depth reconstruction, but it's also called full depth reclamation. All right, next. All right, just to give you an overview, and then you'll see a video. What is the pulverization, stabilization, and overlay method? Generally speaking, it consists of taking the machine, which basically pulverizes the existing road bed full depth or to the depth that we specify. We then would apply a stabilizing agent. In most cases, it's using an asphalt emulsion. An asphalt emulsion is, let's just say, like a bituminous mixture of oil, waters, things of that nature that would be incorporated into the soil. But we're recommending for this project Portland cement, which is better suited for the soils that are out there, which are a lot of clayey soils. The lime, excuse me, the Portland cement will react with the clay soils and basically stiffen it up. It'll make it basically hard. The chemical reaction is to make the subsurface soil almost rock hard. That's what will happen at the end result. After everything's pulverized and stabilized, the road is then graded to get the proper grades that are needed, cross slope, things of that nature, horizontal, vertical alignment. And then the pulverized, stabilized material will basically be compacted. It'll sit maybe 1 or 2 days just so it can harden, and after that the stabilized material will be overlaid. All right, with that, generally speaking, we have a video here that kind of brings everything that I said together and easier to understand. Something we got off of YouTube, because actually gets the job done.
When you take a closer look at the most common road problems, such as potholes, cracking, rutting, and shoving, It's generally not the asphalt itself that is to blame. It's the base. However, most common repair methods merely fill in the holes, seal the cracks, or cover it up with an additional layer of asphalt called an overlay. Over time, this accumulation eventually needs to be milled down to make room for yet another overlay. All the while, the real problem of failing or insufficient base is never addressed. So it's just a matter of time, and the holes, cracks, rutting, and shoving reappear in a seemingly never-ending cycle. Eventually, the road may need to be rehabilitated, requiring all of the asphalt and underlying material to be removed, hauled away, and new material to be hauled in, both of which are very costly and time-consuming. Full-depth reclamation, which has been around since the 60s, is simply the process of pulverizing an asphalt surface, along with all of its holes, cracks, and ruts, into a reusable material that is uniformly blended and incorporated into the insufficient or failing base, adding both volume and structure. If even greater stabilization is required, a variety of additives such as gravel, road base, cement, or other stabilizing materials can easily be incorporated. This homogeneous mixture can now be reshaped and, most importantly, recompacted, providing a more stable base. Finally, a new layer of chip seal or asphalt is applied, resulting in a more durable, longer-lasting, and smoother road for a small fraction of the cost of rehabilitation. Full-depth reclamation has been proven to be faster, less expensive, and longer-lasting. Rehabilitation projects that would normally take a week or more can be done in as little as 1 day. Cost savings average 70% or more because of the time saved, as well as from reusing existing materials in place. Best of all, now that you've solved the base problem, not just covered it up, the results will last years longer.
All right, any questions so far? Before I go, okay. Now we can begin to wrap up. Again, that is the method, generally speaking, being proposed for the actual roadway improvement. The specific improvements being proposed, with that, we'll be able to widen the road to a uniform 26 feet wide. That's what we're being proposed. That'll give you two 12-foot travel lanes plus, although it's not big, an approximately 1 foot wide shoulder along both sides of the roadway. Also being proposed are new driveway aprons for all the homes. Those driveway aprons will typically be the width of the existing driveways plus probably 1 or 2 foot just for clearance on the edges, and approximately 4 feet away from the proposed edge of pavement. Of course, a double yellow center line will be added, as well as one single white shoulder stripe along both sides of the roads. The only real big improvement that needs to be basically done by the municipality, because it is a safety improvement, is the upgrading of the existing guide rails. The guide rails out there will have to be reset. We'll try to salvage what we can as far as reset, but they definitely, what they call the blockouts. Those are the metal sections that hold the guide rail. They're no longer in use. As a matter of fact, they went from metal to wood, and now they're back to synthetic plastic blocks. That's the spacing. That's the new standard. And of course, the replacement of the guide rail end terminals. So the costs. I'm starting in the middle here. What we're proposing for the entire roadway, the construction cost we estimated approximately $620,000. That's for a mile's worth of roadway from beginning to end. For the purposes of discussion, in the video as well as in my presentation, I mentioned what it would take to fully reconstruct the roadway. That would, and for all intents and purposes, that would be the excavation of the existing road, the installation of dense graded aggregate subbase, probably 4 inches of asphalt stabilized base, and a 2-inch surface course. The equivalent of what we're doing is approximately $620,000 using the PSO method for savings that we estimate of approximately $222,000, one compared to the other. And with that, that's my presentation, and if there's any questions, I'll answer them at this time.
Wendell,
Yes.
because there's a high clay base, I understand that the water doesn't percolate so well. And so you're using the Portland cement because it stops the infiltration of water? Is that the idea?
No, it will actually, yes, that will help stiffen the subsurface soil. It will definitely stiffen it.
When you say stiffen it, do you mean, well,
Hard.
sometimes stiff things crack. That's what I'm getting at.
Oh.
Is that the standard in the industry to use Portland cement when you have a high water table because of clay?
I didn't see it as a high water table. I do know that there's a lot of water there. We did do borings, but it wasn't anything that will require. Most times when I hear high groundwater, that's when you would use something like an underdrain. That's not what we found there. We saw it to be more the factor. It's not groundwater. It was more of the existing of the clay soils.
Right. And the clay prevents the water from going down. Right?
Yes, it does. It does. Either way, it either keep it from going down or coming up and causing heaving in some cases.
And you feel that cement you're using is the best one for that condition?
Yes.
Okay.
For the clay soils.
And how long will this be good for?
Without it being disturbed, that is more or less a good 20 years or more. For roadways that we've seen, rural roadways without utilities, they typically don't get disturbed. At that point, next time you would come through, if you wanted to do an intermediate, what I would call road treatment, we would look at doing something like a microsurfacing, a slurry seal, or something just to keep the asphalt surface that you're paying for now, just to protect it from wear and tear. And that's something you would do within the next 7 years or something like that, maybe even longer. After that, maybe you'll start looking into milling and overlay, but you shouldn't have to go and re-prep the subgrade after this process is done.
Question, Mr. Mayor, do we know what the grant amount is on this?
Yes, I have it. Oh, you want it? It was $235,000. I thought I mentioned that
You did.
in the beginning.
Yeah, you did.
You did mention it.
Yes.
Question, if the town decided that they wanted enough room for a bike to move on that surface, do you think that the cost would, what do you think the additional cost would be?
I wasn't prepared for that question, but
Just a question.
at that point, you're probably looking, it just depends. Do you want, without widening, I wouldn't go too much further as far as widening. Besides doing a property acquisition, at that point, I would talk about widening the road to a point where we could put these things, these items in there, what they call, instead of a dedicated bike path, maybe put markings on there where they call them sharrows, share the road arrows with the bike icons on there. It may not be dedicated because I forgot, what's the width you need? 6? 5 foot. So that would be 5 foot both sides.
Yeah. Question, I'm losing my voice. Right now, you have each road path about 11 feet wide, is that the idea?
12-foot travel lanes and a 1-foot shoulder.
Well, the whole thing is 26 feet, right, okay.
Yes.
Is 12 feet necessary, or can you go 11?
It could be made 11.
So in other words, if
That's an acceptable travel lane.
So if you have-
I just tried to, we use 12 because it's a little more generous. That hopefully will keep everybody in their lane, no cheating to the side to tear up the edge. Plus, we're giving them an extra 1 foot.
See what I'm getting at? If you had 11 feet, then you'd have maybe 2 feet available for bikes on the side of the road.
That could be done.
Or pedestrians.
That could be done, but I wouldn't call that that shoulder area for bikes.
Well, the people there have no sidewalks, that's why I'm bringing this up.
No, I understand, that can be done, right, but I just wouldn't call it dedicated for bikes or anything.
Right.
It's a 2-foot shoulder, you can use it, that's fine. But that is 11 and a 2-foot shoulder, that's acceptable as well.
And the cost would be nothing, right?
There would not be any additional cost.
Right.
That's just on the details, how to stripe it.
Thank you.
If I understood your presentation, the reason why you went 12 feet, 12-foot lane in each direction was to take safety into consideration of the vehicles traveling on that road.
Yes.
And that's based in part on the history of travel on that road that you learned from the wear and tear on the
Yes.
existing road. So if you were to, even though you can accommodate that extra foot for a bike path, that may have a negative impact on the safety issues that you were trying to address in your original plan.
Yeah, because as far as I know, and again, we take input from the municipality. The way I've observed the roads such as that, it's probably more about cars than bicycles. But again, we're taking in input from the municipality if that was something they desired, you guys would desire, could surely stripe it that way. Either way works.
Wendell, would you know what the average is in the county? Suppose you look at the county roads around here, say on 541, going from Lumberton to Medford. Would you know what the width of the road bed is there for cars?
I wouldn't know the road, but for the most part, we do county projects, and they try to provide 12-foot travel lanes where at all possible.
An 11-foot lane, would that, my experience is the wider the road, the more people think they can go faster.
That's true, too.
So if we made it 11 and still had the space for them to accommodate 12, it might encourage people to drive slower.
That is true, too. Again, that varies
on that road.
municipality to municipality, but that surely has happened.
And I have a question about your Portland cement. Is that crushed concrete you're looking
No, it's actually
a Portland
cement.
cement added, and it's going to be blended 12
into the existing asphalt / subsurface soil mixture.
But the depth is like 12 inches deep?
We're going 12 inches deep with it.
But when we're done, we're still only going to have 2 inches of asphalt cover?
Yes.
So really, we wouldn't be able to mill it. If we ever did this again, you still wouldn't be able to mill it?
Yeah, you can remove the entire asphalt surface course. You would just take the 2 inches
But it
off.
wouldn't give you the benefit of milling, where you'd have something hard below it. You'd just have the subsurface.
Wait a minute, say that
What I'm
again.
saying is if you milled it, you'd end up taking all the asphalt off anyway.
Yes.
Right, okay.
You'll take it off, and you're just basically down to the prep sub-base we originally put there.
So 2 inches is enough that if the base is good enough, that it would hold up?
Yes, definitely. If you want to go thicker, you could. That's just economical at this time.
And it's enough to keep the water from permeating? It would be one coat at 2 inches, or would it be 2 coats, a fine coat?
1 2-inch overlay.
Okay.
And the cost of this preventative treatment that would be done in 7 years would be what? Do you know about how much it costs?
Square yard, what's micro?
Treat a road?
It's about $3 a square yard.
Yeah, it's about $3. It takes an old time. I mean, literally, in the course of a day, what the process would call, they would have to just remove the existing traffic stripes, grind them off, and then they come in, do a micro surface, and then restripe the road again. What it does is just provide basically like a skin on the asphalt, and that's what would get beat up or run over for the next 5 years. And in some cases, you could do it 2 and 3 times. depending on the type of road.
Well, years ago, didn't they used to spray like an oily kind of?
Yes. Well, now it's a little more high-tech. They used to call it oil and chip, yes, or just, some people call it slurry seal. We don't do that. Slurry seal is what you do in the parking lot. Oil and chip is what you would do on the roadway, sort of slurry seals plus some stone. This is a little more high-tech. They use like different polymers and things of that nature, so it's a little more advanced, but basically the same thing.
Okay. All right.
May I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
Thank you. The cost of the full depth reclamation that you provided was $842,900. Does that include the engineer costs?
You're talking about the full depth reconstruction?
Yes,
That was
in
the,
3
yeah, that's if
phases.
you dig it all up and replace it, or you're talking about the PSO we're proposing?
The $842,900.
No, that was just straight up construction costs.
Okay, because the engineer's estimates that we received for the work, most recent, came to $734,703. So I'm just confused as to what the difference is.
We sent out this morning.
It was dated January 21st of 19.
The one we sent this morning. The one we sent, I have both. Remember we had,
For the 3-phase project, I have 734,703. And then 1 phase would be 620, which is a significant. Let me see what you got. That's for the 1 phase. This is to do it all in one shot, correct?
That's the whole thing, yes. And then I have 3 different sections. I gave it to you in 3 different pieces.
Okay, because I thought this one was 3-phase, like a 3-phase project as opposed to a 1-phase project. Same full depth.
Correct. It is.
Okay.
PSO. What we're proposing, if the municipality wanted to chop it up in 3 phases,
Right.
that's maybe the addition that you added with the 3 you have in your hand. It was 3 different sections. Is that what you got?
I got 734,703.
Yes, but if you do it as one, 620 is the estimate, yes.
So what's the difference between that and the 842,900?
The 842,900 is the complete excavation and replacement of the soils and bringing the road bed completely up again, which we call full depth reconstruction. All right, so what we're proposing is you do the entire road at 620, 150. If you wanted to, I guess, do it the conventional way, which is completely excavate everything up, replace dense graded aggregates, stab base layer, plus a 2-inch surface course, that's $842,900. So I kind of gave you a couple options.
Okay.
One is apple to apples. The other one was sort of what we talked about, depending on budgets, whether you wanted to attack it in 3 sections. You know, it's going from the beginning to culvert 1, culvert 1,
Right.
culvert 2, hopping down that way.
Right, but there's a significant savings if we do it all.
If you do it all in
shot.
once, yes. Because then, you know, your savings comes with bonding, bidding, things of that, you're
Right.
doing it 3 times, so it's economy of scale, mobilization, demobilization, that type of thing.
Okay. And we could, on top of these costs, anticipate anywhere between 12 and 18% for engineering costs.
Most of which you already kind of incorporated. You already have our proposal.
Right.
At this point, once we find out what you want to do, is how much more we're proposing to do.
Than what
and
we
that's
are-
what we'll negotiate or discuss with you, yes.
Okay, so that would be.
Right now, we're
addition
just
to-
trying to tie down how much we are going to do here.
Okay. All right.
Because originally, you remember the proposal, which was easy, if it was that easy, was just a mill and overlay the road. It's this wide, it's this long, how much material we're taking off, how much we're putting on, and you're sort of done. But we don't think that's the right process long-term for the roadway.
All right. And then just one more quick question, just to play devil's advocate. What argument can you make with that being a rural road and maybe not as heavily traveled to do the full depth reclamation as compared to a mill and overlay?
Because one, for this roadway, if you do mill and overlay it, you're only going to see what you have out there within the next few years, maybe even sooner. I just said the next few years, but you'll start to see the distress signs pop up pretty soon. But I would say within 5, it'll be looking like it is now, because all you did was cover it up temporarily.
So you're pretty confident that that level, the sub-level
Yes.
is
Yes.
kaput?
Definitely. I mean, this is a classic case of, pavement distress. We knew it from the beginning. I mean, literally, at the time we did a site visit just to propose on the roadway. It was in writing in our original proposal that the municipality should look at this. We thought that was that was definitely the best way to go.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you, Wendell.
That's it. Thank you.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
That takes us to the resolution portion of our meeting. And I did not forget our 8th grade. I'll get to you guys. Resolution 2019-33-1, appointing an emergency management coordinator, William Challender, and deputy coordinator, George Myers. Is there a motion?
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-34-1, acknowledging budgetary committee for the volunteer emergency squad. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-35-1, authorizing a grant application to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, for a Brownlands assessment grant and authorizing the execution of cooperative grant agreements if the application is approved. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Appointing a consultant to assist with the transition in the Township Finance Office. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-37-1, authorizing an agreement with Electronic Recyclers International, Inc. for e-waste collection and recycling. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-38-1, authorizing the cancellation of outstanding checks. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Oh, wait, who?
Boo.
Oh, all right. Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-39-1, authorizing a shared services agreement with Lumberton Township for vehicle maintenance. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. And Resolution 2019-40-1, authorizing a shared services agreement with Lumberton Township for vehicle fueling services.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. I want to add a resolution to approve the grant for $1,000 to the Hainesport 8th grade for their dance. So we need 2 motions. One, the motion to amend the agenda. Is there a motion?
I make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. And is there a motion to approve the resolution that I just stated?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. So you guys got your grant approved. Thank you for coming. That takes us to the business portion of tonight's meeting. Approval of a video pinball amusement machine license for 2019-01 Dunleavy's Restaurant. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes, and is there a motion to approve the mobile home park license for 2019-01 Goss Mobile Home Park?
So move.
I'll second that.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. And that takes us to our second public participation portion of tonight's meeting. So, on any topic that comes to mind, or is there a question for the committee? Gentleman with his hand up in the front, holding a phone up in the air.
My name is Luis Lopez. I'm a Mahali resident of 98 Levis Drive. I just want to give a big thanks to your fire department, who gave me, about a safe ride home on the last meeting of December. I appreciate it for him. I got home safe. I appreciate it really. And what kind of savings do you have for the Revolution 2019 39, 1 and 41? What's the saving? I'm just curious.
What are the anticipated savings?
Yeah, shared service like saving, right?
That's to save money, right? I think we've had this before with Lumberton, am I correct?
Yes, this has been an ongoing shared service agreement. They do mechanical work on all of our public works equipment, our vehicles, the leaf machine, lawn mowers, our vehicles. I'm trying to see here where the terms are. So labor is $60 per hour, and then the parts are direct costs. There's no additional upcharge on those costs.
And I want to thanks to the new council members. It's hard for, to see new people right here. One, Lee is not here, and she's sick on that.
She's not feeling well.
Okay, and I love coming here, let everybody, see what's going on in Hainesport. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else? Going once, twice, 3 times. Not seeing any hands, we'll move on. Comments from our administrator?
I have none.
Good. That was fast. Comments from our solicitor?
I have twice as many. 0.
And the comments from the committee, starting from my extreme right? Ted?
At that rate, I should be a 000, right? But I'm not. Thanks for coming out. I especially like the kids coming out to request something. It's always nice to see you requesting before we allow the something which we didn't have to do. And congratulations on coming up, because you all sounded so great public speakers. That's wonderful. It's a good experience for you. Anyway, real briefly, Phillips Road, the people kind of take their lives in their hands when they come out of their driveways and houses, because there's no sidewalk there. I'd like to do whatever I can to see some gap, some space between the road surface where cars go and the people's property lines, so at least they can maybe come out and go visit their neighbors without risking life and limb. So that'll be on my agenda. Thank you for coming out.
Leila?
Thank you for coming out, and I just wanted to mention there is a Senior Citizens Club meeting this Thursday at noon. I understand they have a couple of new members. They've lost some members, but they anticipate adding to the membership. It's a nice place to go, meet people of like mind and do things. They meet twice a month over at the old municipal building on Broad Street. I also wanted to congratulate 2 of our Hainesport residents, Matt Latonic and Justin Kane, that made Eagle Scout this last week. I believe there was a an event that went on. Unfortunately, I had something that a year in planning and couldn't attend, but I think it's fabulous that these kids come up from Troop 5 and make it to Eagle Scout. They're a great asset to our community. And I was able to go to one last year, and it's just a beautiful ceremony, and to see what these kids have done and continue to do, we all should be so proud of them. And that's about it. Thank you.
Jerry?
I did have an opportunity to attend the Eagle Scout Court of Honor for Justin Kane and Matt Lontuck Saturday, and I will tell you, there was four people who received Eagle Scout then, and this Troop 5 is, their percentage of people getting Eagle Scout is up to 15%. Nationally, it's 2% of all Scouts make Eagle Scout, so you know, what's going on in this area with Eagle Scout and the Boy Scouts is amazing, and I was very fortunate to attend, and we presented them with a proclamation, so the town recognized them. So it was nice. It was a good event to go to.
Yeah, it's just lovely.
All right, well, I too want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and I want to thank our 8th grade representatives and their parents for coming out tonight. You guys did a great job. I'm sure your parents are proud, and have a lot of fun at the dance. Knock yourselves out. All right, that takes us to paying the bills. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. And we do have to go into an executive session, so there's Resolution 2019-41-1, a resolution to enter into executive session. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. We anticipate that.
Mayor,
Yeah.
Formal action may be taken, right?
Right.
And what are we thinking about, half an hour?
No,
Oh,
an hour and 15 minutes, maybe an hour. Second interview's not scheduled to be until 8:30.
oh,
First interview's at 8,
okay.
about an hour.
About an hour? Okay. Well, we will be reconvening in about an hour, and there may be action taken as a result of what happens in executive session. So you're welcome to stick around and join us when we come back out. All right, but right now we're going to take a break before we go into executive session. Thank you for coming. So I guess we need a motion to go back into open session, right? Is there a motion to go into open session?
So moved.
Second.
Can we just say all in favor?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that takes us to Resolution 2019-42-1, offering Donna Kondo the position of CFO for Hainesport to fill the unexpired term, and she would begin on February 1st at an annual salary of $25,000 a year.
So this is the motion to add this to the agenda.
Yeah, first we need a motion to amend the agenda.
That's a motion to add that resolution. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a motion to approve the resolution that I just stated?
I'll move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay?
And we have a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, motion to
Moved.
adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're done. Good job.
We just spent all the time.
All right, hold on.
I'm happy with the result, guys.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm real happy. I was
I mean, that first guy